Hey everybody, we're live and we're waiting for Eric Bieniemy, who's at podium 10 at 11 o'clock. I hear some mutterings back there. And so this screen for podium 10 should switch over. And if I, drink the water, or somebody said they're going to drink a water. Let me try something here. Sometimes what happens is that you join now and you find that it's going and it's weird, and see there's podium 10. Let me make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. You are seeing it. Welcome back. I'm expecting this to change over to an image at some point in seconds. So you could hear the rustling, right? And you can, yeah. I don't see anything. That's interesting. What's going on? So we see its podium. Here we go. Here we go, folks. Aha. It's Eric Bieniemy, folks. Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. Make sure you can see that, and you can. Yeah, he is up, and we are ready.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. How are you?
Morning. How you doing?
Good. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's start with Jonathan Scott.
Okay. How you doing, Jonathan?
Well, hold on one second. I don't have the capabilities to unmute.
Okay.
Here we go. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you. Good morning, Coach. How are you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thank you for asking. What do you think is the biggest challenge or hurdle that you face in this preparation for this year's Super Bowl compared to last year's?
You know what? One of the biggest things is just making sure that we don't take this opportunity for granted. One thing that, in preparing, you just want to make sure that we're continuing to eliminate the distractions. We want to make sure that our guys are focused on the daily task. We want to make sure that we're on the same page and that we're over communicating with clarity. Then on top of that, we get our guys to come out and perform to be at their best. So far, so good. Our guys have maintained their focus. They've done a heck of a job throughout the course of the week. Going into this week, they're ready. They're excited about the challenge. And I tell you another thing, we just need to make sure that we're doing an outstanding job protecting the football. With all that said, as far as us taking care of our business, but on top of that, we got to take care of the football to give ourselves a chance.
Thank you, Coach, and happy Black History Month.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
How you doing, Sam?
Good, thanks. I'll have a quick follow-up if that's all right. Eric, this is the second straight Super Bowl, right, where your sort of continued employment with the Chiefs has been a topic. You always have a smile on your face. I'm just wondering, where do you go to sort of deal with the frustration that I know you feel? Where do you go to deal with that and keep on keeping on?
Here's the unique part about that, Sam. I learned a long time ago to learn how to persevere through adversity. But the beauty of it is not so much that I have to persevere, because that's going to take care of itself. It's making sure that whatever is taking place with Eric Bieniemy isn't becoming a distraction and us pursuing our dreams and our goals. So one thing that you got to understand, I'm going to focus on what I need to focus on. Then it's time to turn the page. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that our guys are ready Okay, they're mentally prepared. They've watched all the film that they need to watch. On top of that, all right, they've gone out there, they physically put themselves in the right positions by working their tails off and applying everything that we've asked them to do to make sure that they're ready to play. That's how you get past that. You move on by making sure that we're focused on the goal. And the goal has always been to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask, I know this isn't your focus right now, obviously, but are you getting any kind of constructive feedback from these teams about why they went a different direction? And are you altering your sort of presentation or interview that you do going forward?
You know what, at this particular time, I haven't had an opportunity to reach out to anyone to receive any feedback. I'll take that time after Sunday to sit back and reaching out, and then we'll just go from there. But like I said, Sam, when it's all said and done with, we got from today until Sunday, all right, till kickoff. My focus is making sure that the Kansas City Chiefs are ready to play and that we're going out there to take care of business. I'll handle Eric Bieniemy's business, okay, on Monday, sometime Monday evening or even Tuesday after I take a nap or a nice long night of sleep to start worrying about what I need to be concerned with me moving forward as far as the interviewing process went.
I hear you. Thank you.
We'll go next to Nate Davis, USA Today. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Eric. Along the
How you
same,
doing?
Robert Saleh said before this hiring. So,
I think we lost you,
We
Nate.
lost the,
Oh,
yeah,
hold on.
lost the sound there.
you got
Go
me now?
ahead, Nate.
You got me now?
Yes.
Yeah, Robert Saleh, but EB kind of said at the beginning of this hiring cycle that the worst case scenario for him would be going back to the San Francisco 49ers as their DC, and that would be a pretty good outcome, all things considered. I just wanted to ask you, obviously you're in a pretty good situation, all things considered. Is it about also for you getting the right job and what that looks like as opposed to just getting any job?
It's always about getting the right job. And you got to understand, sometimes the job and the person have to connect. So there has to be a connection. The only thing I can do is be my most authentic self. That's who I am. Okay. I can only be me. Some team has to want me. On top of that, there has to be some type of collaboration of making sure that the chemistry is a fit. So for whatever reason, that chemistry has not been a fit. There has not been that opportunity to connect, but that's okay. All right. Because at the end of the day, I have an opportunity to go out here and work with the Kansas City Chiefs, which is a great organization. I get an opportunity to work for Clark Hunt, work for Mark Donovan. We got one of the best head coaches in all of football, who's a Hall of Fame coach, in my opinion. And then on top of that, we got one of the top GMs in all of football. So I'm excited about the opportunity that has been presented to me. The other stuff, I can't control that. That is out of my control. The only thing that I can worry about is today, all right, and moving forward and what I need to do to help our guys to be at their best come Sunday.
We'll go next to Haley Lewis. Go ahead, Haley.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. I wanted to talk to you about Sammy Watkins being back at practice on Monday, kind of how he's looking and just how big of a leader he is off the field. He's always one of those players, who talks about not caring so much about the money, not caring about the catches or the stats, but caring about his teammates and getting that another ring.
You know what? It's always good to have Sammy around. When Sammy's healthy and he's at his best, we're a much better team. And so when he's around, one thing I will say, not just Sammy, but all those guys do a great job of challenging each other. That's the thing I love and respect about that group. And that starts with Greg Lewis. Greg Lewis is a hell of a coach. Our receiver coach, he does a great job of motivating those guys. He does a great job of teaching those guys. But on top of that, and it starts at the top with Coach Reed, he allows their personalities to show. And so with that unique group of people, Sammy brings a different presence just because of his physical nature of who he is. He's always talking to those guys about certain things that he feels that can possibly help them, or vice versa, where he's taking advice from them as well. But the thing is that I love the chemistry that they have. I love the connection. And I just love the unique way that Coach Lewis and his assistant, Dave Girardi, does a great job of working with those guys. And the dynamics of that unique setup and that communication is great, because that group has helped us out tremendously.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go next to D. Orlando Ledbetter. Go ahead.
D.
Greetings, Eric. I'm pretty sure I know where you learned to persevere at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But just getting ready for the game, what do you all do to offset the Tampa Bay pass rush, which we've seen get kind of riled up here in the playoffs?
You know what? Coach Todd Bowles has done a hell of a job with those guys. And you're talking about a great coach who's happened to be a great leader of men, who has a great scheme. And obviously those guys have bought into what he's doing, because those guys are playing outstanding. And as we all know, regardless of what side the ball that you're on, everything starts up front. Those guys up front are doing some things. They're getting after the pass rusher. They're getting upfield. They're creating havoc in the run game. They're also creating pressure in the pass game. So one thing that we have to do, we have to neutralize their rush. We have to make sure that we're assignment sound, that we're playing assignment sound, that we're protecting and keeping the integrity of the pocket to give Pat an opportunity to step up and do what he needs to do. But on top of that, when it's all said and done with, we just got to knuckle up and go play, and play for 60 consecutive minutes. If something bad happens and the player gets beat, oh, well, that happens, We're not going to worry about that play. The only thing that matters is the next play. And we want our guys to have that focus and that temperament, because we want to play this game one play at a time, but also understanding how much of a challenge it's going to be, to making sure that we can sustain that high level of play for 60 consecutive minutes.
We'll go next to Matt Baker. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Eric, how are you a better coach now than you were heading into this game a year ago?
Just from the experience, just knowing all the things that we need to do. It's just like last year, for the first time of going as a coach to the Super Bowl, we prepared our entire game plan last week. So having that done and having the experience of doing that, on top of that, just making sure that our guys are not playing the game over and over and over again, but also making sure that they understand the importance of maximizing the opportunity, to be at their best today and to improve at something today, to helping them to play the game on Sunday. So those are the little things, just making sure that we remain poised under pressure. I will say this, it's a different dynamic due to the pandemic, because we're not out there at this particular time. So now we don't have to worry about family. So it's kind of eliminated some of the distractions that normally occur throughout the Super Bowl preparation week. But there's been a number of things. The beauty of it is we take the lead of Coach Andy Reid, and he's provided the way and he's shown us the roadmap. So the thing that we want to do is make sure we stay true to course to helping us to get to Sunday, where we can go out there, line up, and make sure that our players are at their best come kickoff.
We'll go next to Adam Tysher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Eric. Good morning. How you doing today?
Good morning, Adam. How you doing?
Good. Hey, you guys, as you know, have had to dig really deep into your offensive line depth. You lost the two guys to the opt-outs before camp. You've lost now both tackles and Osemele. How have you guys been able to piece this all together? Has that been pretty challenging? How would you put that?
You know what? It hasn't been a challenge. I'll say this, and I will continue saying this. Coach Heck does a heck of a job with those guys. Coach Heck, our assistant O-line coach, Corey Matei, they do a great job of creating chemistry in that room. As you know, probably just like on any team in the NFL, that O-line group is a very, very unique group. Those guys develop a great chemistry. They hang out together. Those guys are very tight. They pride themselves on over-communicating clarity because they have to communicate. But on top of that, we train our guys all right, to make sure that they understand at any given point in time in the season, your name can be called upon to be at your best. And when that particular situation arises, all right, you have to make sure that you're ready. We never ever want any players to ever get hurt. Okay, you don't ever want that. But one thing that we do a great job of, and Coach Heck does, we do a great job of developing our O-line. All right, position flexibility means a lot. We want guys that can line up and play a number of positions, not just a left tackle or a right tackle. All right, we need guys who can go out and snap the ball, who can play guard or who can play tackle. Those are the guys that bring a tremendous amount of value to our organization. And I just think that we've done a great job of developing those guys. And that started with Beach, bringing in the right people. But on top of that, Coach Heck and Coach Corey Matei doing a great job of working with those guys in that room.
We'll go next to Harold Coombs. Go ahead, Harold.
EB, how we doing this morning?
Doing good. Harold, how you doing?
I'm here. Hey, on the other sideline, you've got a situation where there's 3 coordinators, special teams, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator, all of which are African-American. I'm just curious, just your thoughts on how that has kind of developed to a point where you have 3 coordinators on a team, which you don't see often, and just your thoughts on how things have maybe progressed, even though besides your situation, how things have progressed in the NFL with coordinators of color being in the league.
Well, I mean, here we are. I mean, first of all, we're all in the Super Bowl together, so that says a lot about what we've accomplished together, But one thing I will say is, I heard Todd Bowles say this last week to Peter King. He mentioned this. You don't ever want to be recognized for what you do by your race or your color. You want to be recognized in this profession by how great of a coach you are, or how much of a leader of men that you are, and how much of an influence that you can have on the people in that building that are working with you and that are working for you. So those are the things that matter. Yes, we do have 4 coordinators that's going to be participating in this Super Bowl. Only thing that just goes to show you there's 4 men who have worked their tails off, all right, that have been given an opportunity by Coach Reed and Coach Arians, okay, to show exactly who they are, what they're about, and what they can accomplish. So when it's all said and done with, why we got to keep talking about the color of these particular coordinators when in reality, these ain't nothing but good old-fashioned ball coaches who have done a great job of being leaders of men who obviously know exactly what they're doing, but has been provided an opportunity to do so with the head coach that they particularly work for and that organization. So it just goes to show you that there are great coaches in this league, all right? And plenty more need to be given those same opportunities and given those same windows to go through.
We'll go next to Krista Patrick. Go ahead, Krista.
Thank you. Good morning, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Morning.
So week 13, right after that Bucks matchup, I heard you say a couple things. One, that you believed every play was designed to score a touchdown. And 2, you were still looking for that perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis Kelce yesterday spoke about your attention to detail, as many players have. I imagine a perfect game might be a little different to you and I. That's probably a lengthy list. But what would constitute a perfect game for you for this weekend? And do you need a perfect game in order to get that second Super Bowl ring?
Well, one thing I want to say is, yes, we're always striving for perfection in order to achieve excellence. So, no, we have not played a perfect game. And a perfect game is when we can go out as an offense and score every drive, right, and play flawless. Right. We protect the football. There's no penalties. There's no turnovers. We keep the quarterback upright. We're averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. But all that, we want to strive for that. But when it's all said and done with, we got to make sure that we're doing everything that we can, all right, to help us to win. And so I'll go backwards to go forward. In order to appreciate winning, you have to despise losing. Okay, you have to despise that feeling of what it feels like in the agony of defeat. You want to make sure throughout the course of the week of preparation that you're doing everything under the sun to make sure that your guys are getting the right information, that they understand exactly the scheme that they're going to be playing against. But on top of that, you want to make sure that those players are going out there and making the most of it by working their tails off, understanding the importance of route depth discipline. How's a no lineman going to fit in a run scheme? So the thing is, we want to make sure that our guys are striving for perfection all week long to give us that opportunity, right, to pursue that excellent, opportunity that we will have on game day. Because when it's all said and done with, I explain to these guys on a weekly basis throughout the course of the game, you may be given, regardless of what position that you play, you may be given an opportunity to be great, right, 3 times in that particular game. The question is, have you mentally, all right, and physically prepared yourself for those defining moments? So it's our job to make sure that they're chasing that perfection and striving for it throughout the course of the week. Because come game day, that's when you maximize it and you make it happen.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Let's go next to Therese Paylor. Go ahead, Therese.
TP.
Coach Bieniemy, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. How you doing? Long time no see, bro.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You know, I'm working hard too.
I understand, bro.
I got a 2-part question for you, though.
Yes, sir.
I know your mentality about work, right? I know that you kind of just worry about getting better every day and controlling what you can control. So I apologize if you answered this already, but I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about making sure that you do those things you need to do and not getting distracted from, hey, interview here, even interview here, didn't get the job? Like, how do you separate and compartmentalize those things so that you make sure that you focus on keeping the main thing? And I do have a follow-up.
Well, one thing that I've learned is to focus on the task, okay? And the task has never changed, okay? The goal has never changed. Our goals, all right, are simple. We want to win the AFC West, which we did. We want to establish home field advantage, which we did. And then we want to win the Super Bowl. So one thing, that's always our focus in this building. So my job is to make sure not only are our guys focused, but I also have to practice what I preach. And so within that, I mean, we've had a great deal of success here would have has placed me in a situation where I've been recognized to interview for some jobs. And so those interviews, for whatever reason, I have not been hired, which is okay, because at the end of the day, I still have an opportunity to go out there and help our team to pursue and obtain our goal. And so, yes, there is a focal point where you're focused on that interview. But once that interview is over, now it's time to turn the page. You know, I can't sit here and dwell in pity, you know, because when it's all said and done with, I have a responsibility to the Kansas City Chiefs. I have a responsibility to Coach Reed. I have a responsibility to this entire offensive coaching staff and our players to make sure that we're mentally and physically ready to go come game day. But that's who I am, okay? And that's how I operate.
Gotcha. And all right, that leads me to this next thing here. Number one, is it weird for you to keep seeing your name pop up in stories all over the place? Like, I know you're not like somebody who like enjoys all that. Like, I do wonder, like, sometimes if you're like, guys, like, why does my name keep popping up? Number one. And secondly, I think it'll be helpful if you kind of walk through some of the things that you've done during the off seasons, during the season to improve as a coach, improve your knowledge of the game, just keep getting better at what you do.
Well, first of all, to answer your question, no, I did not ask to be the poster boy of this particular situation that I have experienced. At the end of the day, the only thing that you want to do is be recognized for all the things that you have accomplished. And for whatever reason, that has not happened. And that's okay. Because the only thing I know what to do is to just go back to work and continue chopping wood. Because that's who Fern Andy Marie Gibson raised. Okay. you didn't know who that was. It's my mother. She raised me to make sure that I stay focused, right? And I just continue chopping wood. But when it's all said and done with, you know, during the off season, there's a number of things that you do during the off season. You're helping yourself as a coach, on YouTube, you know, where you're learning different ways on how to do things, how you approach things. On top of that, spending time talking to general managers on helping with your growth process, things that you need to be looking out for on the horizon. And then also too, just making sure that you're putting together, continuing to put together your head coaching book, all the little things that you've learned throughout the course of the year and things that's going to help you moving forward. So those are a number of things. But then on top of that, you always want to continue to increase your expertise at what you do. So there's teams to study. There's things to continue to grow with, and also to study different defensive schemes that are on the horizon. So there's a number of things in which I do during the off season to help my football intellect, but also to help me to grow as a person in this industry. All right. And a part of that also too is taking some time off and spending time with my family and enjoying them as well. So I can't utilize all my time, but I will say this, my off time, I utilize it as efficiently as I can to help me as a person to grow. And then when it's all said and done with, my job is to make sure that all the knowledge and wealth that I have gained in this industry, right, I need to make sure that I'm passing this information along to the next man so he has an opportunity to climb up that ladder as well.
With that, thank you, Coach. We will see you later.
That's it?
You're done.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
That was fast. Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Are we still live?
Yeah, we're
You
still
are.
live.
We'll see you on the other side.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Man. Little folks, man. Jeez. We'll get a chance to get a question in. Well, enough whining from me. I'm going to go over. He's got his mask on. See, he's putting on the mask. By the way, he's double masked. Look at it. He's got his double mask. But I'm going over to see what other podiums are open. It is 10:26. One moment, please, while I check the room or read the room, as they say, and find out. Okay, BM, let me refresh this to find out who I can join. No availability. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see if we can join Mike Kafka, quarterback coach, in the time remaining. Nope, he is not there. He's gone. Okay, so let's cancel that one. Kafka is gone there. So that was podium. Well, let's try that again. That was podium 10. Let's see what's going on here. Open Zoom, leave and join. Okay. And always got to retype things. Doggone it. Okay.
His availability here. Thank you all for joining, and you're free to go, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we just missed Mike Kafka. So there. So everybody's leaving. So that's left. That's gone. Mike Kafka was the passing game coordinator who works for essentially Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator. So let's see what who else is there. Let's refresh this screen. And as it refreshes, we've got 11:30 coming up. Assistant head coach David Taub, run game coordinator and defensive line, and then Steve Spagnuolo. Let's go on the defensive side of the ball. Let's join now, see if we can get into Mr. Spagnuolo's room, find out what's going on here. Launch meeting there. Steve Spagnuolo is a famed defensive coordinator, and let's see here, media.net. Join webinar. We're waiting there. So he has not, that's podium 10. So let me make sure that the podium lines up with where we are. Fortunately, there's no chair There's no one in the chair yet. But as you know, time flies, right? So there's the chair. That's podium 10. And as we look at this, podium 10 is Steve Spagnuolo. So any moment now, Mr. Spagnuolo will show up. So let's go back to Zoom and raise our hand so that we're out there. So it's a matter of time before the famed coach, defensive coordinator of the Chiefs steps forward. And we can ask him about Tom Brady as a Buck versus Tom Brady as a New England Patriot, because he has had experience in coaching against Tom Brady. This would be interesting. Quite interesting when it comes up. If you have any questions, anything that you want to ask, anything at all, well, not anything, of course, please put it in, type it in so that it appears as a post comment there. And then I'll put it up for view like this, you see? If it's appropriate, of course. If it's not, it gets booted. That's just the way things work around here. So we're waiting for Chiefs DC Steve. Oh, here he is. Chiefs DC Spagnuolo. Let me go back to get into my place. Spagnuolo there. That's Chiefs DC right there.
Glad to be here to help you out.
Thank you.
Morning, Coach.
How you doing?
Good.
I can't see anybody here, so it's a little bit different for me. I'm talking to myself, it looks like, because I'm seeing only me on the screen, but happy to answer your question.
Let's go first to Herbie T.O.B. Oh, hold on 1 second. Now go.
Oh.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Hi, I'm not.
You get a familiar face for your first question. Well,
Hey, Herbie.
Here.
I usually get to see you, Herbie. I can't see you right now.
Hey, Brad Veach was telling us after the championship game that if they had a do-over with the draft last year, you could make an argument that L'Jarius Sneed would be a first-round pick. How fortunate are you to have L'Jarius Sneed, and when did you know you had something special in him?
Well, listen, I think I've spoken about this before, Herb. But I fell in love with LJ just watching his college tape. And I was kind of a little bit shocked. And, you go around and ask around to scouts and other people. They didn't have him. I thought I was missing something. But I always liked him. When he came here first in training camp, of course, we had the offseason. It was a little bit different. But even in the meetings, we could tell he was a cerebral guy. Played a lot of positions in college, which led us to believe that he could handle things mentally. Our goal was to get him playing at corner. He surfaced as the guy to take over for Bashaud Breeland. He played those first 2 or 3 games. I think he got hurt in the Baltimore game. And then it was in the, when he was injured, and Bashaud and C-Dub were playing pretty good at corner. We were sitting there saying, how do we get our best 11 on the field? We thought LJ was one of them. So that's when we decided to move him to nickel. But he's out there playing nickel, still learning on the run. He didn't have the luxury of any training camp snaps at nickel, and he's done a really pretty good job.
Let's go next to Adam Kilgore. Go ahead, Adam.
Steve, how are you?
Great, Adam.
There's been like a lot of discussion over the last couple of years about how RPOs and the spread offense and different offensive trends have come into the NFL and changed the game, but probably less public discussion about like what defensive trends have emerged to counteract that. And I wonder, for you, like what's different about NFL defense in today's game as compared to even two or 5 years ago that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, things defensively probably all are a product of what's going on the offensive side of the football. The one thing from the offense that's made it a little bit tougher defensively, I think, is that I see that offensive schemes have a lot more pass protections. There was a time, listen, I go back to when Jim Johnson and I were together in Philadelphia, and I thought he was great at scheming blitzes for the protections we were seeing. There just weren't as many. Nowadays, I think they just have so many, it makes it difficult for you to, beat a protection. So that's one thing. I don't know, maybe defenses are a little bit more multiple in coverage because we're seeing so much pass. These young guys are coming to us from college where they're seeing a lot of pass game that you got to do a little bit more. You can't just sit in one thing. I believe quarterbacks, offensive coaches, offensive coordinators are too smart. They're going to find the weakness in any coverage, and every coverage has a weakness. And in offenses, they see that, and if you only sit in one thing, they're going to identify it. So maybe multiple coverages and not being able to do some things blitz-wise that you normally would have been able to do just because of the multiple protection schemes.
We'll go next to Susie Colbert. Go ahead, Susie.
Susie,
Hi, Steve.
how are you?
Yesterday I got all dressed for this. Today I'm like, no, I don't need to.
You're right. That's good. That's a good thing.
So like a lot of your giant Super Bowl champs have talked about this and Sorensen today, just how good you are at the in-game adjustments. But I just wonder when you're going against Brady, like do you have to take it to a whole different level?
That's a good point, Susie. You do. He's a step ahead of everything. I mean, every film clip that you put on, he's putting their guys in the right defense. That's always the challenge when you go against what I call a cerebral quarterback, and we know Tom is like that. He has total control. He gets them out there in time to change things. We're going to have to be really good on the back end, not to show him things, or as we say, don't let him read our mail, because if he can read our mail, he knows exactly what to do. I tell you what, Susie, you can only do as much as your players allow. So when Dan says that, or some of the other players, part of that is because you have trust in the guys that you can do something on the sideline and trust that they're going to get it done. Because that's not always easy. I mean, a lot of coaches, myself included, don't like to run anything on game day that you haven't practiced. Sometimes you have to. And we may have to do that in this game, but we're going against one of the best. I mean, a guy that can change anything at any time. So he's probably going to be right. We just got to hopefully make a few more plays than they do.
We'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Steve, from that week 12 tape of you guys and more comparing it to what they've recently done and put on some film, in what ways and what you're willing to share have you seen them taking some steps in just the 9 or 10 weeks, and what are you preparing for now that maybe you didn't see in that first game?
Yeah, it's not a lot of change. What I see is, you call it synergy, call it chemistry, call it whatever you want. I mean, they're clicking on all cylinders. And it doesn't matter whether it's defensively or offensively, once you start having success and it snowballs, and that's what I've seen them do, everybody gets confident. And look, you got the best quarterback in NFL history playing there, and I'm sure all of those players, as they started to have success moving the football, winning games, and they've got Tom Brady, I mean, it just snowballs. And I just see a unit that's clicking, great chemistry, with a great leader.
We'll go next to Osi Umenyiora. Go ahead, Osi.
My God. Osi.
Well,
I love it.
Well. What do we have here?
This is not right, Osi. You're supposed to be putting pads on. You're not supposed to be on the other end of it.
Oh, man. I know, man. Hey, Spags, how are you, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing great, man. Great hearing your voice.
Absolutely. Hey, listen. I'm not there to see you face to face, but we got to continue our tradition that me and Justin will always continue. And I got to ask you right now, you're not scared, are you, Spags?
No, we don't get scared. You know that. You guys used to tease me about that. That's okay. I took it every time. If it got us going, that was a good thing.
Absolutely, man. Now, obviously, you have some really good football players, man. Some outstanding defensive linemen there. Chris Jones is there, who I like a lot as a player. Frank Clark, really good football player.
Yeah.
Spags, that ain't Michael Strahan and Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora now. So what are you going to do to dial up the pressure to get the Tom Brady, man, that affects this guy pretty well?
Yeah, Osi, I mean, every game is different. I mean, the game has changed a little bit from when we played back there in 2007. The quarterback we're playing is still the same. He's still every bit as good. It may be a little bit different. We'll try pressure-wise and all that, but I just think we've got to be on point with coverage wise, and see what we can get with our guys out of a 4-man rush. I mean, you know, we've called upon our D line to do that in other games. They've done a nice job. The one thing about Tom now, I was just talking, I don't know if you heard it, OC, on the other question I had. I just think protection wise, there's so multiple. It's hard to, you know, overload or do certain things that we used to be able to do way back when. Now, maybe can't get to those now. I think Tom's really good at identifying things and emotions, and he gathers all that information, and then, you know, he spits it out and puts them in the right place. So it's going to be man on man. It's going to be, if we can have, you know, out of our 11 versus their 11, can we have more guys on point every play than they do? And if we do that, we got a good chance of being successful. If it's the other way around, then it'll be a tougher day.
Nice one, man. Last thing, man, Steve. Last thing, because I need some of your advice here. You know, I'm always rooting for you, man. You know this, man. I love you to death, and I hope you guys win. You got Dave Merritt down there, Sam Madison, all my guys. So I'm really rooting for you guys. But also on Tampa Bay, we got JPP, who's a good friend of mine. Yeah. And I spoke to Tom Brady yesterday for the first time ever, and I kind of fell in love with him, Steve. So I'm kind of rooting for them too. So tell me what I need to do here, man. Give me some advice here, Steve.
You want me to try to steer you in the KC direction? Is that what you're looking for?
I just need to know.
Well, listen, I'm proud to be in the game, going against a guy like Tom Brady. And I think both teams feel like we're proud to be going against each other. I mean, it's two really good football teams, two great head coaches, you know, go on down the line with everything. And it'll be exciting. I mean, the competition is what we all thrive for. And there'll be a lot of competitors out there on the field this Sunday.
Excellent, man. Steve, let me hit you up after, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, you got it, man.
All right, much love. All right.
We'll go next to Jason Leisure with the Chicago Sun-Times. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Steve, I'm curious about the autonomy you have as a defensive coordinator and how much Andy is involved with that, or does he just kind of let you go as basically head coach of the defense, and how you evaluate that type of job versus actually being the head coach? As far as for you personally, how much you like each one versus the other?
Well, I can tell you this, Jason, that there's the best guy in the world to work for is Andy Reid. I'm a very fortunate person to have the job that I have. Andy's terrific. He lets his coaches coach. I mean, he does that on both sides of the ball. I mean, obviously he's deeply involved offensively. And he has a lot of trust in our whole staff. I mean, this is not a one-man show defensively. We got a great staff, guys that I've been around before. OC mentioned a few of them. But guys, you know, Brendan Daly and Matt House and Britt Reed and a whole bunch of guys, Terry Braden, Alex Whittingham, Connor Embry. Again, it's not a one-man show, but Andy has been great and let us all do our job. We find a way to get through the work week. I mean, I keep him in tune to things that we're thinking about doing. And it's just a pleasure to work for him. I mean, quite frankly, when Sunday rolls around, or any Sunday rolls around, all of us want to do is not disappoint the head coach. We believe that so strongly in Andy.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you, man. I know that there's been, times in the past where you and Brendan Daly have worked so well together, particularly in matchups facing Tom Brady, especially these last 2 years. Just in terms of your guys' synergy, how much do you believe impact what you guys are able to do with the players on the field, knowing obviously an opponent like Brady?
You mean in terms of Brendan having been there in New England, Nate?
Yeah. You guys working together back in St. Louis as well.
Yeah, no, listen, it's very, very helpful. I mean, Brendan, I lean on him a lot. I think he's the best D-line coach in the league, but I'm a little bit biased. But he brings a perspective and an insight, having been with Tom, that I think helps a little bit. He can share that with the players. And his expertise in D-line play, I mean, I think he does such a great job with our guys. He always has them ready to play. And listen, this game begins up front. I mean, not just the Super Bowl, any football game. And we think we have one of the best guys running the show with our guys up front. And we've got some good players there. So hopefully that'll help us do what we got to do on Sunday, which is try to find a way to have Tampa Bay not score a lot of points.
We'll go next to Therese Paylor. Go ahead, Therese.
Hey, Steve, how you doing today?
Great, Therese.
Hey, got a two-part question for you. The first part is, you've shown a desire to blitz to a pretty stunning degree. And I'm curious, like, if you've ramped up the blitz because, like, you know your offense is, like, extremely potent, and if maybe you give one up, it's like, what?
That's a good insight there.
I think I got a follow-up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I don't know that when we're out there, because, listen, we're all talking as a staff as to what we should do the next series and what should we do next time we get them in third down. So it's a collaboration of guys. But it's an interesting thought you bring up. It's kind of like, go after them now. If they beat us, that's okay. Patrick will go out there and get some points for us. I mean, but I can't say that we think that way, only because, listen, defensively, we take a lot of pride in our job, which is to limit the amount of points allowed. That's our number one job. It's not about stats and what they get and what they don't get. It's keep them out of the end zone. If they get down there, make them kick field goals. And whatever play we're calling, we're playing because we think that's the best call at the time to do that. And listen, we'll see how this game goes. I mean, again, going against one of the greatest, and you can't do one thing too much, or he'll find a way to make you pay for it.
Second part of this, Steve, if you win on Sunday, this would be your third Super Bowl ring as a defensive coordinator. I know you aren't getting ahead of yourself. I get that. But either way, that's really strong, and you're still a very spry 61.
I appreciate you saying that.
No, I'm serious. I didn't know you. Like, you're 61? But do you want to be a head coach again? And B, and I think this is important, how are you a better coach now than in 2009 and 2011?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would love that challenge again. I think anybody that's involved in this business has a lot of pride and would like to challenge them again. And the second question, I believe that people in any business, in any walks of life, gain more perspective and more value to how to do a job when you've already done it and maybe you've made some mistakes. I mean, look, along the way we do that. I've done it as a defensive coordinator, and as long as you're willing to learn from prior mistakes, I just think that makes you a better at whatever it is you do, whether it's computers or whatever that job might be. I just think there's a value in experience. And so, listen, I will say this, having answered that question, I do believe I have the best job in America. And if the head coaching thing never works out, I'm okay with that. Should it come across my table, it'd be a great challenge. Love to do it.
Would you say, like, quickly, just briefly, what did you learn the first time as a coach?
Man, I can tell you this. I won't go into all of them, but I have a list that I've kept. It might be 4 or 5 pages that I reflect on here and there. And it's helped me even in being a defensive coordinator. I mean, whether it's dealing with players, whether it's dealing with a situation, schedules, timing, all that. I mean, there's always some little tidbit you can learn from. And when I say mistakes, it might just be something that we decided to do or change that maybe we shouldn't have. So there's just value and experience.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Vahe Gregorian. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Vahe.
Just along the lines of what Therese was asking, I wonder how much better equipped, in hindsight, you feel having had that year off, and whether you actually had your own office at NFL Films. And I'll have one follow-up after that.
Yeah, listen, I've been asked that quite a bit. I would recommend it to anybody. Nobody wants to be out of work. There's a fear you're never going to get back in. But there's a lot of value to looking at anything big picture. When you can sit back, kind of relax a little bit, take a deep breath, and then look at things, I think you see things differently. And that's how I felt in my situation. I enjoyed it. It gave me a lot more time with my wife, which I love, because this business can be tough on that. So it was a little bit of a deep breath and a break for my wife and I, and it worked out really good. And I was very fortunate in the fact that, Andy asked me to come here. I think to me that was just all God putting me in the right situation. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
And Steve, do you literally, I don't know if you do this or not, do you literally keep a book on various adversaries, including perhaps Tom Brady? I mean, do you have your own Tom Brady notebook?
Yeah, believe it or not, even though I'm not tech savvy. It's actually in a little computer file or something. But I've done that way back. I have stuff from 1999 when I was working with Jim, and it's really on offenses or offensive coordinators. Probably has no value now because the game has changed so much. But yeah, certainly we have libraries. I think every good coach does that. And there's a library on whether it's a scheme or a coach or a team or a player. We try to do that. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
You got it.
We'll go next to Neil Reynolds. Go ahead, Neil.
Hi, Coach. Neil Reynolds from Sky Sports in the UK.
Okay. Neil.
Two-part question. What has pleased you the most about the way your defense has played down the stretch? And then what are the challenges when you face an offense that has so many different weapons?
Yeah. Listen, I've been proud of our guys since I've gotten here. I just love working with them. It's a terrific group, a lot of character guys, and I think it begins with character. And we have that even through the rough times. And we had a few bumps along the way this year and through all the, the COVID that we've been going. I think our guys have been terrific. I hope that we can get better. I do not believe we played our best game yet. I'm hoping that shows up on Sunday. Our guys every week are real critical of themselves, which is a great thing to have. So even though we might win a few football games and do decent defensively, I think our guys look at it and say we need to get better here or there, and that comes with great player leadership, which we have. I forgot the second part of your question.
Sorry, yeah, just unmuted me. Yeah, the second part was just when you face an offense that has so many different weapons, that challenge, because you can't just take one person away.
No, you make a great point. Look, I've always felt that when you face this kind of offense with, like you say, a lot of weapons, you just have to mix it up. You can't sit in one thing. Tom's too good. He's going to figure out what you're trying to do, what you're trying to take away, and he's going to expose you somewhere else. So I'm hoping that if anything, we can just mix it up enough that, we can be one or two steps ahead of Tom on a couple of plays here and there, and they'll be successful ones for us. Because in this game, having been in the middle of it, it might just be a play here or a play there that makes all the difference in the world.
We'll go next to Mark Cannizzaro, New York Post.
Hey, Spags, how you doing?
Mark, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
You getting snow out there?
We got about 1.5 feet.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay safe.
Thank you. Hey, I wanted two questions for you. One is about Tyrann Mathieu and just kind of his value and what makes him so special and your ability to move him around the way you do. And I have one more after this.
Yeah, listen, that's easy. That's an easy answer. What makes it so, he's passionate and he's intelligent. I mean, the guy loves football and he gets football. It's one thing for people in this world to have a real high IQ or SAT score. It's another thing to get football. It's unique. And he's unique that way. He has a feel for it. He's instinctive. And that, when you have a guy like that, you need to use him. And when you have a guy like that, he makes the other guys around him better. And our guys have great confidence in Tyrann and what he can do and how he can help them, whether it's communication from one thing to another. So we love having him. We have a couple other guys, a bunch of other guys like that. And so far we've been, gelling together pretty good.
And just as a follow, and I congratulate you in advance and wish you luck in advance on a Sunday, but Juan Thornhill not being able to play the game last year, going through what he did so late in the season, how happy are you for him to kind of, and what was that like for him in your eyes last year not to be a part of it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was very disappointing for him. Alex Okafor was another one that was hurt last year during this time. I'm really proud of Juan. It's been an up and down year for him. He's been dealing with that ACL injury, but he's really come on. I thought he had a great game a week ago against Buffalo in a really key time. I'm hoping he could do the same thing this coming week, but we need Juan. We need all our guys, but he is one of those guys that's gone through an up and down season, has really come on strong toward the end. Real proud of him.
Thanks, Banks.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good, Sam. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to ask you a quick thing on Frank Clark. It seems like every time we talk to him, he talks about getting out of the mindset of just wanting sacks. And I'm wondering, what else does he bring to you guys outside of just rushing the passer?
Well, listen, he brings energy. We know that, and I think our guys feed off of that. And when you're dealing with any quarterback, it's affecting the quarterback. It's not necessarily sack. I mean, we'd love to have a bunch of sacks. That's not going to happen. That's not the number one goal. The number one goal is to affect the quarterback to the point that he doesn't complete the pass or get it downfield. And Frank does that. There are a lot of things that go unnoticed from all of our pass rushers. Just being relentless in their pass rush if they make the quarterback move in the pocket, if they get him off balance a little bit. I thought we did that a bunch a week or two ago against Buffalo, in that we got Josh Allen to move his feet. He was kind of throwing off his back foot, and that's helpful. It helps the guys on the back end, and they appreciate it. So Frank's been great that way. I know the guys love having him. I love having him. He's unique. My wife gets the biggest kick out of him. He's got pictures. She saw one the other day. He gets his hair all over the place, and he looks wild and crazy. She likes those types, so we're glad we got him.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
We'll go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for the time. The matchup a second time, right? You do it all the time in divisional games.
Yeah.
Just a little bit different in the sense it's not a team you see year after year after year. But how much can teams really change? I mean, how much do you have to say? You have to be careful of, okay, we did that last time, so they'll be ready for it. So now let's do something different this time. How much is that chess match involved here?
It's a great question. And it's a balance thing. I've kind of been going through it a lot yesterday and a lot on Sunday. Listen, it's 2 weeks that a coach gets to look at an opponent, and that's good and bad. Because what we have to weigh is feeding our guys too much, and then it tangles up their feet. You clutter their mind, you tangle up their feet. We don't want to do that. We want to let our guys just go and play. So we're trying to weigh that balance, just feed our guys what we think we need to win the football game. And, in looking at what we did last time, I mean, there'll be some of the same things because we do what we do. And then there's hopefully a couple of wrinkles in there that throw them off. I'm sure they're doing the same thing. I mean, they've got things that they did against us. Listen, let's not forget, they had a really good fourth quarter. I mean, Tom got them cranking there at the end, and thank God we didn't have to go back out there. Our offense kind of, kept the ball for the last 4 minutes. So we're certainly aware that, this offense can put up a lot of points, and we want to find a way to make that not happen.
Let's go next to Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star Telegram.
Can you tell me, Anthony Hitchens, how much has he grown in that since he's coming from Dallas, and what does he bring to your defense?
I'll tell you what, I'm so glad you brought up Anthony Hitchens. I love Anthony. He's the glue, him and Tyron. I mean, those guys are the glue, and Anthony's in the middle. We ask him to do a lot as a Mike linebacker. I believe that the Mike linebackers should be running the show, and he embraces it. I mean, you ought to see the notebook he has by the time Wednesday morning comes. The guys have Monday off. We come in shortly on Tuesday, and Wednesday is really when we gear up during a normal work week. And I go into that Wednesday unit meeting, and I look down, and he's right next to me as I present my meeting. And he's got pages of notes he's already taken. But that's the kind of guy that you want in the middle of your defense. I love him as a person. I love him as a player, and I know the rest of our guys feel the same way. He just has the unique ability to get along with all the groups, the D-line, the linebackers, the DBs, and that's a unique quality to have in any football player, and I think it's really important for the Mike linebacker, and I think he does a terrific job of that.
Let's go next to John Crick, Toronto Sun. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Coach.
Hi, John.
Andy his team's coming off a bye or with extra time to prepare, have a great record. What does he do differently, and what does he know that others don't?
It's a great question. It's probably one Andy should answer. Listen, this is what I know about Andy. He has a great feel for his players and his team as to what they need or don't need, and should you work them? Are they underworked? Are they overworked? He has a great feel for it. He knows when to pull off and when to push down a little bit. And I think that's part of, when you get a long stretch of time, whether it's a bye week or a 2-week Super Bowl, I think Andy just knows his team well. He's aware of it, and I think he just gears them up the right way to get them ready to play a game.
We'll go next to Len Jennings. Go ahead, Len.
Coach, how you doing today?
Great.
You were talking about feeding your players. Speaking about feeding your players, Chris Jones has been a fan of your wife's cooking. Michael Strahan's been a fan of your wife's cooking. And I was just curious because with the COVID and everything, I didn't know if she's been able to prepare meals and how that's been, and if she's got some of the favorites for the guys this year.
You know, and I'm a big fan of her cooking too, by the way. I've had that as #1 fan. You know, it's funny, we have not, and really it has been because of all these changes this year. And Maria's actually been back in Philly quite a bit, taking care of her parents. So it's been a different year. And I had the whole COVID thing and bringing things into the building. We weren't able to do it. And it's a part of what Maria and I do that I really enjoy, because it kind of makes her a part of, you know, our unit. And I know the guys really enjoy it. So hopefully, you know, when we get past all these protocols, we can pick that back up again. Because I know Chris, he misses his meatballs, and they love the banana pudding. Antonio Pierce, we won the Super Bowl in 2007, and the first thing Antonio said to Maria was, it was the banana pudding. It was the banana pudding. So they appreciate it. I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get back to doing it next year.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go last one to Allie Trost. Go ahead, Allie.
Hey, Coach, I was actually about to ask about Marie's famous meatballs, but my other question for you, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope her parents are doing well too. L'Jarius Sneed, you've talked a lot about his focus, especially leading up into the season, and he's clearly impressed in ways that maybe were unexpected, you know, for the fans and media, but not maybe unexpected for you all. How have you seen his confidence, though, progress? I talked with his defensive back, Louisiana Tech, Jeff Burris, about that, and that was something he said that he had to work on. So I'm curious, now that he's at the professional level and has found that success, how's confidence progressed to you?
You know, it feels real good to me, and I think part of that comes with the guys around him. And again, I go back to Tyron. He was great when LJ first got here, and you know, like any rookie, you come in and you don't know what to expect, and he's out there playing nickel, and he's got a couple other, he's out there playing corner, and he's got a couple of other guys out there that have played quite a bit in this league. And yet he just put his nose to the grindstone. Like any of these young guys, we had to knock a couple of bad habits out of him, but he embraced it. Then the injury happened, and it kind of set him back a little bit. I felt real bad for him because he was having a heck of a year. But during the injury, he showed that he is mature beyond his years in the work that he did while he was injured. To ask him to look at a position that he had not done in training camp and then be ready to do that when he was healthy, to me is really, really impressive. I mean, he's learning, even now he's learning on the go. We're having to live with some mistakes that he just hasn't seen just because he doesn't have the volume of reps. But I'm really proud of him. We're glad we got him. I know the guys enjoy having him out there, and you know, I'm looking forward to him being out there on Sunday, and hopefully he can continue to be confident and make some plays for us.
Thank you, Coach. That's all for today.
Okay, you got it. Appreciate it.
Hey, so that was Chiefs and former New York Giants defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. The 2007 Super Bowl game, it was really 2008 Super Bowl game that they referred to, I was at. And on Zennie62 YouTube, you can watch the final drive the Giants executed under Eli Manning to score and win that game, which I took from the third deck 50-yard line at the Arizona Glendale Stadium that I don't know what they're calling it. Forgot what they're calling it now, that the Arizona Cardinals had built and used. So right now it is 12:02. That ends the media availability for right now. We'll be back in an hour with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that ends this broadcast. I want to thank you very much. Subscribe to Zennie62. Bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. If you have any requests, please email. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, that email, if you have any requests, is this: Zennie62.com. There, okay. There, Zennie at Zennie62.com. Thank you.